Okay, g'day everyone, and welcome to Trade Setup in the live stream. It's the 28th of August, Monday the 28th. Now, I've got a bit of background music just to relax a bit. I've got that in the background, so if that's coming through too loud, just let me know. If not, might be quite good. How are we all today? How are we going? Had a good weekend? Hoping everyone got some time to relax and chill out a bit. Enjoy a nice red wine or so. All right. So for we'll go through the routine. Anyone new to Trade Setup or the app we're doing, or any of the live streams also, you can join us on Twitter. In the top left-hand corner is I don't know what do you call it, Twitter handle or something there. I'm not up with all the IT jargon, but top right-hand corner, you'll join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Trade Setup, and the bottom right to subscribe to us at YouTube. And just with YouTube, if you subscribe there, then anything we do through YouTube, you get an alert there, and that'll push you anything. Even though we send out as alert at all through the app, if it's got to do with YouTube, like the FX notes we do on a Friday now, you'll get that as well. So what we're going to take a look at today, Brent, just regarding your question, we'll take a look at that. I think it's a good one to take note of. It just depends. I guess we'll have a bit of a look at it. So I'll look at the ASX and the sort of the choppiness we're in at the moment, and how sort of we've been attacking that. Also, if there's a particular market, if you're talking about the ASX and choppiness through there, just let me know. If there's something else to have a look at, there's sort of a general rule of thumb that we look at. The way we try to avoid it, which we've mentioned quite a few times, you can apply it to FX, a particular stock, if you don't want to get caught in some choppiness in a particular stock or FX or an index. Just the way we attack it, just try to get us on the right side of a movement. Yeah, we're going to leave it a bit more open today. So once I get through just what it's happened, ASX and Friday intraday, okay, let's take a look at that. It's probably a tough one to trade too, intraday on the ASX. Not a lot of movements after a certain time, so I'll take a look at that. Actually, might be able to look at the SPY just to see what the SPY did. Anyway, let us know what you prefer. So today we'll just quickly go over. Not much happened on Friday night in the US. I think it was up ever so slightly. I mean, I'd call that pretty much a flat day. It was fairly range bound. I think the currencies, the US dollar took a bit of a nosedive. I think they were expecting more from the speeches from the ECB President Draghi and Yellen on the US Fed. A bit more info out of there about rates, but they were pretty tame on what they mentioned. So the US dollar didn't take it too kindly, and it got sold off a bit, which means the euro, the pound, the Aussie all kicked up. Anything US dollar denominated kicked up. Yen was lower. That's US yen was lower. So apart from that, really, in the way of indices, in stocks, nothing really happened on Friday night. They got hit by a hurricane, I think it's Friday night, and so there's quite a bit of damage there. I think it's probably diverted a few people's attention. And that happened over the weekend too. I think that's calmed down now, but there's been a few casualties there. So, nothing, I wouldn't have expected much to happen today. Let's just get into it now. We'll take a look at the ASX and look at some of the positions we've got going. And let me just get you across to my handsome face. That's a usual dad joke for me. Alrighty. What are we now? Down 40. I expect it to be a bit more neutral today, but it seems to be that we get hit hard on a Monday, then we sort of gain it back a bit during the week, and then maybe rally again on a Monday and then get sold off. So it's just this sort of range-bound action at the moment, longer term. And you'll see it on the ASX anyway when we look at the chart. Quite range-bound. It has been for a while now. I don't know exactly what we're waiting for. The US is going on without it. But I guess we're anticipating a bit stretched. We've got reporting coming out. So maybe after reporting we get a bit of a move on. But we'll see. All right, let's just click over to a few of the charts just to see where the market is. We'll start off with the DAX here. That's the DAX. Nothing's really changing there. That's starting to get a bit... it's finding that support there. It's got a little minor lower high, but until we take out this sort of high here, we'll just drill in on that. Well, make it a bit thicker. Just let me know if you're having problems seeing the charts. Until we take out this little high here and pop up through that 12,300, then that's not 100% confirmed high or low. It could easily just build that lower high, push through there, and then start washing out all these traders that bought it off the support. Once we push up there, then I think there's quite a bit of fuel on the short side to get squeezed back out of the market. You can see there's some lower highs, bit of an acceleration lower high here. It's pushed down, but really it's right back down to retest the anchor to that move up. So longer term, the trend is still holding up. Probably looks like it's rolling over a bit. If you go back down to the weekly on the DAX, it's had a good run up from way back down at 87.50. So you'd expect after getting through the high, a bit of profit taken from that move up. We'll see how that goes. It is, I think, the euro over there is creating a few problems. So with companies, so that's probably what's crimping some rallies there, and that's probably why you've got a bit of a sell-off through here. But we'll have to see if that. Like I said, I think Draghi didn't mention too much about that. He wasn't really concerned about a higher euro. So maybe the market's could take it as a bit of a positive when we kick up through that 12,300. Now the FTSE, it's still holding up at this 73. Again, it's getting up in this little zone through here, the high of 7444. So 7450 pretty much. If it pops up through there, it's a good sign that this level is going to hold and it's a major high low. And then you'd expect that we're going to target these highs at 76 over time anyway. The weekly chart's still looking good until it breaks either way. I mean, even if it pushes down through 73, we've got a lower high here, another lower high here. That weekly trend is still up at 71. So the longer term trend up, the daily, it's still the daily too. I mean, you've had this push up, pull back, push up, retest these lows at 71, a push up to new highs at 76. It is a nice little zone here at 73 to hold a higher low on the daily and the weekly and kick on higher. But even if it does push through 73 and pulls back to 72, the weekly trend's still up, the daily trend's still up. So, when you've got to go by your anchors, what we call the anchors. Over to the US. I mean, the Dow, to me, still looks pretty good. Is that best fit? Yep. Still looks pretty good. There's no, had this choppiness down, lower high hold, lower low. But really, in context of this move up, it's just maybe a bit of pause here through reporting, and it could easily kick on with it again. We're looking at the S&P closer. It's a broader market for a short squeeze, another short squeeze. So it's this mentality of buying on dips in the US. It's not flowing through to our market. We're not buying on dips. We're just sitting around getting a bit choppy. But in the US, it's still that mentality of buying on dips. Now they've got through another reporting season. There's no one really diving out. Maybe there's a bit of profit taking. You're getting these opportunities to easing out of a position up here, building some lower highs. There's you'll get a few retail punters in here getting out, expecting that's the high, but they're not. If that's the case, they're not taking notice of this anchor level to the uptrend. Trend's never broken until you break the anchor level or the swing level or anything like that. So this is where a few people get sucked into not understanding the price action as much. And this is probably something we'll touch on in a minute, Brent. I haven't looked at the intraday action, but if you can stick within your anchors and you just know exactly where those key levels are, and sometimes it just keeps you out of trouble. All right, now what is this? This is the Dow. No, this is the S&P. Yeah, it's still heading high. It actually, to me, doesn't look bad. You can see the MAs are still up. They've contracted a bit. They've coming in together, but really that could be a nice prime zone. If it pushes up, this could be. It's probably not really on the. What we're seeing here, you can see. Maybe just go to 6. Probably a bit clearer here. See this push down. You got a lower high here. It's pushed down to below 24.20. It's popped up to above 24.50. It's pulled back. If we take out this high again. To me, that's like an inside high low, and it's a good technical structure where we could easily start washing out those shorts that have built up, mainly on the futures anyway, and start dragging in some more buys and really putting pressure on the shorts to the upside just on those shorts. We'll see how that goes, but it is building for that. It's looking like it's a similar type of scenario as what we had here. Lower high, lower low, then holding up just in here, and then bang, off she goes again. That could be the same type of scenario, pushing up through the highs at 24.90, through 25, and then running out of steam again. But it just means that there's more than enough, if you're buying on dips through here, more than enough opportunity to take a profit on that. And if you're holding longer term positions, I mean, you're quite sweet at the moment anyway. Let's get over the XJO. Now this is one that just looks, especially after today, I mean, I've gone from looking good, looking bad, looking good, looking bad. So it is choppy, and it has been for quite a while on that daily chart. Let me get it on I want to get it on a bigger chart actually. So that's start off with the weekly. That weekly is up. We're still holding. It could easily roll over here, but it's looked like it's just getting caught. It's getting caught between 56.50 to 57 and that 58 zone. So it's a 100-point range, and it has been for the last few months now. Good part of 2 to 3 months, 2.5 months, I think. So if it keeps that choppy action, you might get a bit more selling and push it through, and then we get a longer term correction. The anchor for me at the moment for this uptrend is really just that 56 zone, or just below 56. We're holding above that weekly anchor. It's taken a bit of energy to push us down, and we mentioned this type of how I like to use this stochastics. I mentioned that on Friday, so if you missed that, just look at Thursday's stream. Bit of info on how we use it. If it was a bit messy to understand, a bit tough, just shoot an email out to me. But I like to use this stochastics in a certain way. It's more of pressure of a move up, of a move down, and when you see that the trend's up, the pressure down has been quite hard, yet it's holding potentially a higher low. To me, it's still weighted to the upside, but it is looking a bit shaky. Especially after today, if we push it down through with 3 points off 57, close down below there today, it could drag in a few short sellers. But it's happened before, and then we turn around and retrace all that and bang straight back up again. So looking at this one, I want to see it confirmed if we draw that. Let's just grab... Let's grab that just to draw it up. And this probably might answer some of your questions there. Brent, sorry. Now for me, this is your major sort of level, and we've got a more major one up there, but then we've got these minor levels through 58, and we've held through this 56, 50, say, and potentially if we hold this, so these are higher lows. If we hold this 57, if we don't, we could easily just, wash out down to 56, 50, another 50 points lower, and still be holding that within that range. Ideally, for me to be really positive on this, I wanted to see that push up and close above 58. So I want to see something a bit stronger. So we're chopping through here. Even if it's off 57 here, so that's 50, 57. We might draw that up a bit cleaner. It's actually quite horrible, isn't it? I've got to get my artistic. So that's where we are at the moment. Ideally, what I'd want to see from here is that level hold and lift up. I want to see it push convincingly, not just at 5 or 10 points above 58, 58.10, still hold below here, and then come back down again, all the way back down the bottom. I think I wouldn't buy on a break here, but what I'd ideally like to see is that push up, then potentially a pullback, and see that type of price action, and that confirms a higher low. It confirms that buyers are stepping in early, especially after we've broken through a key level at 58. That to me, that type of price action, to me, is confirmation that we're going to get up through, even through these highs at 59.50 towards 6,000, even just blast through 6,000. Because don't forget, the longer we sit here, and if we start looking positive, we get this type of price action. There's been a lot of action through here, and that could lead to a nice strong move up through 6,000. I mean, on the flip side, we don't get this, and we just get this breakthrough, and then get something like this, that lower high, and then I'd expect more of a deeper correction, and it's more got to do with the weekly, a deeper correction through here, a washout, maybe down to 56, 55, 50. I don't know. From there, we'll just have to assess it as we go. But they could easily wash out there, something like this, and then build again for the move up. But at the moment, it's an each way bet at the moment. We just have to keep an eye on things. Now, regards to positions we've got going, there's a good chance that IFL. I'm just looking at that now. We're about a cent off. We'll get a 1080 stop on that, so there's a good chance that we're going to get tagged on that, and that'll close us out. Good healthy gains on that anyway, on IFL. Let me just see. It's going to be only about 2.5 to 3% on the first lot, but about somewhere around 14% gain on the second. So we did quite well on that second move. Probably a bit preemptive taking the partial off here. Would have been nicer up here and then taking the second part off, 1080. But that's the nature of the beast. That's the way it is. What else we got going? ASX kicking along nicely. Got a profit up here. Just below 6. I think it could extend up to 6. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Either way, that's going to be a gainer for us. Aluka, another one that kicked off today quite nicely. Well, it has been grinding higher. That's price action looking very good. That's Aluka, ILU. We've raised our stop to 930 on that one, just below this high low. So really, if we get tagged on that, we've made small gain across the board from 895. If we don't, we get a partial, and then we can just keep riding it up, seeing if it can really start getting the move on. Because the weekly is still looking good on that. That's probably easier. Let me just go to here. ILU. So that weekly is still looking quite good. You can see even the monthly. I mean, you can see it starting to curve up. That could really start kicking on. It could get that acceleration up. That's what we're looking for, just around that 10. Just getting something off at 10. It's only a few cents away. Might take a few days to get there the way this is moving, just grinding higher. That's looking good. Telstra's still looking, well, good for us. Bad if you're long. So we're happy on that short. Still looking for a move. You can't really see. So it moved down to sort of, it's only a minor level just in here, 370, 75. But we'll just have to see. Just see how far we can ride this one down. Taking a partial, done well on that. Now, Coke's the other one on our short that we went ex-div today. So that's dropped off 3%. We're short that from, we just have to see on Coke. Coke have been short from 895. So that's up. That was on that breakthrough here. So short on that one. It's been going quite well, and there's confirmation. I don't know where we got our stop. We'll probably move the stop down soon. 865. So we're just above this lower high. So either way, we've got gains locked in at 820. Partial exit. Looking for more on this one. We'll see how that can go. See where it can get to. Probably down towards 8. I think it can get there easy. It might even blast rate, wash it out, and then maybe it starts to build. Who knows? But probably we're just going to look to see how it reacts down at 8. We'd be happy with that one either way. That's probably about it. There's a couple others. We've got BNO 46 in, spiked up, back down to 46, but that's still, technically it looks good. Got our risk below here. I think they can get a run on. It could still go after it's pushed through those highs. The last couple of days not looking too great, but I think that's more got to do with the overall market. It is a smaller stock, so it tends to be a bit more psychological than technical. But then you can get someone that can run it up quite easy. MBE got into that about 8.2, it's 7.8 now. Still, that structure looks good, and it's more got to do with the weekly. We want to give this one a bit of room, see if it can move and kick on higher. I think that's going to target that 10-cent zone as well. The weekly looks great. Look at that weekly. It's pushed up, pulled back, so it's just got to hold this high low. And on the daily, good signs that we started doing it with this move up and then pop back down and this little move up. So what we want to see is that high low build somewhere pretty much where it is now, and then kick up through these highs here at 8.6 and then just kick on to 10. We'll see how that one goes. I think that's about all we've got really. Newcrest, another one. That's a bit choppy. 22.20 we're in. It's about there now. It's kicked up to 22.50, but that one, ideally, that looks really nice on Newcrest. I like that push up through 22 recently. Pulled back. We got it on the rise again. When it's made highs through 22.50. That's looking good on a weekly. Starting to get a bit extended up here, but there's no reason why this just can't kick on. We'll keep an eye on this. That's about it. Anyway, so what we'll do, we'll go over what Brent, I'll probably find a couple of examples what Brent was asking about regarding how to know when the market is entering a sideways market and not get chopped up in the initial stages. Right, so that's not a curly question. It's something that I look at it from a probability. If you're getting a move, probably a good example was on the ASX the other day. I haven't got it up. I've got it somewhere else. Let me just see. I was on the SPY anyway. We talked about this on Friday. It was the second part of the talk really when it got a bit extended. You know that we always look for sort of two moves. And if I can get that to show you, I want to clear screen on this. Let me just get down. Let me just open that back up. So what I tend to look for is, I'm just trying to think, if the market's moving up or down, it's had a good, oh, I don't want that thick, do I? Now, if the market's had a good move up, if this is a push up out of contraction, and we can know that, we'll show that in a second. We look at our anchors, you know, it's had a bit of a washout down here, and we start to push up. If this is the first time you're looking at it, it's a nice little zone because we're expecting ideally 2 moves up. And if you can break it down a chart, whether this is your daily chart and you look to an intraday and you're looking for that zone on intraday for it to kick up, that's nice to buy it in that zone, especially if it's first initial push up. It's coming back to retest where it broke out. It may not retest there exactly, but you're looking for the price action to give you an idea. Now, that's not, for me, that's not when we're entering into potential sideways. That's getting it nice and early when there's going to be another strong leg up, and we're looking for that next strong movement, because you spent, depending on how much time we spent through here as well, chopping. I mean, look at the ASX, for example. If we get this type of pattern on the ASX, that could be, it may not even pull back. It may not have it may break out and have a bit of a shallow pullback and then go strong again, because it spent so much time in that choppy zone. So ideally, we call this the shoulder. We want to get it on the shoulder, whether it's up or down. For a short, pretty much flip that over. You know, the market could be chopping around, and then you start getting that acceleration lower through a support zone, and we're looking for selling into a pullback or selling into that shoulder, whether it's like that. But that's what we call the shoulder. And that's after it, because you don't know if that's going to be a washout, and you sell it, you're sort of selling a breakout here. I'm not a big fan of that, because you don't know if it's going to be a washout, like I said. And the markets can do that time and time again. It can pop up because it knows that's the key resistance, or here a key support. It can just push back down and then bang straight back up and reverse on everyone and then go on the upside. So it can wash you out. So if you're sitting there below a key level with a stop order, I would rather miss it than enter like that. I'd rather enter it off a shoulder. And that's why we talk so much about shoulder trades. It's that there, when with the move down, that's going to drag in short sellers. And I know, you know, if you sold it there and you get this price action, it goes again, good on you. You've done it right. But there's more often than not, the probability of that retracing on you is actually quite high. So the probability of this working is also quite high. So when you get the shoulder trade, it's putting it into a high probability area where you can potentially short it, or you're getting it around here, potentially like this, where it's had one move up, you know, out of this contraction or out of this consolidation through here. You're getting it into a strong market when you might have to give up a bit, but so be it. That's the way I would look at it. All right, so I guess we're just recapping entries more than trying to answer your question, Brent. But I think the way I'm trying to answer it is looking for, if you're looking for that first move up, I tend to take advantage of this type of move, and you can get it. You don't know where it's going to go. It's just going to kick on strong. You don't know what's going to happen from there. But if you're looking for, potentially you got this price action, you know, it's had consolidation through here, you're looking at it on this second pullback. For me, they're not as high a probability, because that, we're not trading what we call the unknown. Here it's more the unknown. You don't know if it's just going to retrace and go straight back down again. You know, the same with this short. You don't know here what's going to happen, whether it just builds and goes back up again. But as soon as you get it on a break lower, it's becoming more of the known. So we know we're getting in nice and early on a short trade. Anyone who's selling it down here, you know, if you're selling it just at this stage, that is more of the known. Okay, everyone knows what's happening by then. You know, it's broken down, it's built a shoulder, it's breaking down again. So if you're selling it there, you're starting to get into more of a lower probability trade and more of the known. So everyone can see that on a technical. Whereas here, it's more as a high probability trade, high probability that it's going to work out, but it's more of the unknown area. So we're trying to get in nice and early. We want to sell it back to people who are looking to buy in that second move up. All right. Yeah. So like Amaris said just then, if you're looking at the SPY intraday, Brent, I don't know if you trade the SPY intraday or you trade the ASX, whatever you trade, sorry, the CFD. The SPY does a lot of its work in the first. So what we talked about the other day on Thursday, I think everything happened pretty much before 11 o'clock. You know, between 10 and 11, it could build its move and then go, and by about midday, you got nothing to do. I mean, not all the time, but generally, you know, that's when your traders are going out to lunch. Yeah, the market doesn't move as much, and you can get caught in something if you traded a bit late. So sometimes if you get into this second move, it's had one leg up, two legs up, and you're looking to buy in here and it starts going, you might get your setup through here and you buy here. It's a low probability trade, and what you could easily do is just do it and then roll over, and that's a major lower high, retracing this major move up. ASX200, all right. I see you trade both. All right, cool. So what I'd be looking for to keep myself out of, the first thing is to keep myself out, out of that choppy action. The first thing, I've got to know where my anchors are. Let's look at, we'll go back to your, and where your swing levels are and how far into the move. Are we potentially getting into the known or the unknown? Are we still in the unknown zone where there could be a lot of people coming into the market, and you want someone else, once you buy it, you need some more people to keep kicking that market higher. Now, here, there's potentially a lot of people on the sideline ready to buy. And if you buy nice and early, then they're the ones buying it and pushing it up for you. Here, different story. So you've got to take note of where you are in that move. And is there going to be anyone to sell to and make a profit, or are you going to sell and book a loss as these people are starting to sell to you? So does that make sense there, just with that? And also, just where your anchors are. If you're going to buy in this type of zone, you know where your risk is going to be. If we just start from scratch again, I'll just try to get. I'm going to have to go back completely, aren't I? All right, actually, let's just draw that. So this is the move we're concerned with. We're going to be up here. Is there a major resistance zone up here where you could expect, you've got one move, two, it's popped up, you've had that pullback. Is this worth buying if we're into a major resistance zone? Then I would expect choppy price action. And then I want to see, for me, I want to see this, because it doesn't mean you can't buy it, but you want to see some sort of price action like this to put your money on the line. You got to know exactly where your risk is. So if you're wrong and you're buying it and you're trying to buy into strength again, if you're wrong, this is just going to blow out the tops. Just wash it out and then start rolling back down again. Then you want to know exactly where your risk is, so you don't have to take much. You don't take much risk and get back out again. And then just look for that deeper correction, and then maybe for it to build again, start holding some high lows, and off we go. Does that make sense to everyone? Just what I'm trying to say there. I want more confirmation that buyers are stepping in here. On the secondary move here, I could probably do it off less confirmation, depending on your entry style. Because this is a higher probability trade, you've got this little pop-up if you're buying in this zone. So ideally, that's your key zone you want to start. But you want to look for these sorts of setups when it's consolidating. We're starting to push out. That winners are starting to, buyers are starting to win, take control. Get that pullback, you've got a zone, you've got a nice zone, then just wait for your setup. Whatever your setup is, everyone knows mine, I guess, off a high low, potentially an inside high low, and then we go up. When you're coming up into a resistance zone like this, it's a lower probability trade. You really got to be able to define your risk exactly, and don't take as much risk as potentially you normally would, because it could easily get and buy it when it's rising still, because there's nothing to say this can't keep going, but it's just, like I said, it's low probability. So we go back to that price action from the XJO. You said, do you want me to bring up a SPY chart, Brent, or would you prefer just where we were? This is Monday, so this is, you're saying from Friday. ASX on Friday intraday. So this is a 5-minute chart intraday. Let me get. I'll get up to SPY. It's probably a bit better. Couldn't remember where I put it. Sorry guys, just give me 1 minute there. All right. Any questions? Just chuck it into the. While I get myself organised, just chuck it into the chat. I'll have a sip of coffee while I'm going. I just want to open our CFD on it, give you a clear picture of the charts. All right. Now, it shouldn't be too long. All right, here we go. Let's get rid of that. Now we want to get intraday. I'm on a 30-minute chart. Let's go back to the 5-minute chart. So this is the open today. I mean, this is a tough one to trade actually on that sell-off. That was sort of a key level I was looking at. For me, lower highs are holding. Once you got through here, you'd probably be looking to a lower time frame for a minute chart. I mean, I look at the minute charts anyway. I mean, this is probably what we spoke about, I think, Anne-Marie, if you remember. This is where, ideally, this is just what I like to do. I mean, I like to put something across support zones through there, and I would have seen this off a lower high. Market's breaking down. It did probably on Friday. It's probably a tough one to trade, obviously, but looking for some sort of entry. If you sold it through here, for instance, 57.11, you've got to have your stop. For me, I would have to have it up at 20. It's too big for me, so I'll be trying to find something off a minute chart to trade off on the open, but it's getting a bit risky, and that was pretty much solid through there, all the way down. I'm digressing now. Let's go to price action from Friday. That's Wednesday. Is this the price action from? So this is, okay, so it's from here. And that was, right, so pretty much this is the price action that Brent was looking at. Pretty wild on the open this morning. It's a kind of a tough one to trade. You've got, there was some higher lows to work off, and this is where the market can easily, you know, pop down. It can drag in a few short sellers. If you start seeing some higher lows, I mean, I can see a little entry through here, which I could potentially happily take. I just got to know where it could be going to, where my potential targets could be, and where I'm buying into. Now that longer term is more choppy, but the intraday is actually got some movements through here. I'm just trying to find if I can get. I like that through here. You can see there's a minor high low in here, but for me, you'd have to sort of enter it on that candle. You didn't get much payout there. When you're looking at stochastics, that wasn't too bad. And stochastics taking a good little effort to push down some solid selling, you know, some selling pressure to oversold, but it's holding that high low, potentially taking it through up here on the rise. It didn't pay out that much. You've got to know exactly where your stops are. But this one here, you can see it's quite a bit of selling through here, quite strong. Popped up, tried to go again. That held up. Stochastics, it took a bit of pressure to get down there, but there was definitely some buys. You got an inside move here. So I like, as an entry, that one would have been good for me. It was a bit long in the tooth by that time. We're still in the 5 minutes. It was getting, you know, about midday. That paid out quite nicely. So there was a few little trades there. But then it started rolling over. Then you've got, for me, if I was intraday trading this, I'd tend to go down to the minute charts. I don't want to lose it if I go to the minute. So I just want to make sure. All right, so that's, well, that is just the spot we're talking about then. So this was a nice little entry off the minute. You know where your risk is. You can buy it on that break up through here. That was you had that little pop up off a strong move down. It's consolidated. Spent a lot of time through here. So that's one thing to take note. When the market's had a good move down, you come into what I've marked up as a support zone. So just say it's a good support zone. You really, if you're concerned that it's going to be a choppy day, you want to be on the edges. You know, if you're thinking you've got something set up, a good support, work off a major support and a major resistance for shorts. If you think it's going to be choppy, from there, what I'd potentially be looking at, I like to use the stochastics. Also, if it gets into oversold and it's starting to hold some high lows, and every time it pushes down to oversold, it sort of coincides with a high low. It means, to me, the pressure's starting to change. The buyers are, from going from selling to buying. People are starting to book it in. Even anyone that's sold it in here, maybe trying to give it a go. So at this stage, when you've got potentially a high low holding up through here, get rid of that. Potentially a high low. What is it doing that for? So I get my drawings better. Oh, let's not worry about that now. So that's my high low. Once you see it holding up through here, then I'm really just looking for a nice way. If it breaks through a certain zone, I'm expecting this to retrace this move. It's popped up. You've got that selling through there. You've got a whole higher low starting to hold up. That there, I wouldn't quite buy that on that breakthrough there. It's pulled back. I would more inclined to buy it through that high. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to work off this major edge here, off a major, push lower. It's a solid, fairly solid push lower. I'm trying to see, okay, if that's the case, and I've got my resistance right up here, we could just start to range between those two levels. We might fall short, but then I know that probability-wise, that's quite a good little probability setup, quite high. My target potentially could be all the way up here, so risk-reward, great. I'm not risking too much on that trade. And then really it's just a matter of seeing where it goes. Now this is with that other zone that I just mentioned. The same thing, you've got that push down. We've had that little pop-up, so it's tried to retrace. If sellers were going to win, you'd expect them to be pushing through these lows stronger. And you can see it coincides with some heavy selling. It's not getting through those lows. So then really I just want to try to see, we've got a higher low just in here. So I like it off that higher low in comparison to here. So it's like, for me, buyers are starting to take control. It's compared to this trade, this is like your secondary trade, your secondary move up. So it's getting a bit lower probability, but the entry is quite nice. There is still your risk reward to move up to even the highs of the day, or this is quite good too. So really that's risk reward wise, that could be quite nice, could turn out quite nice. But you just got to remember in the back of your head that's had a good sell-off, sellers well and truly in control there, then that's good price action for the buy side. That there's not going to be much more selling. You've got this little pop-up, contraction lower, you're not taking out the lows very much, you start to get that higher low. For me, we're going to get another good leg up. So to buy it through here, if you can get an entry through here, whatever your style is, quite nice. Risk below here, even if it just rolls up. If you start struggling just up here, which we did back off in there, retest and then go again. And that's one move up, that's your second move up. So really it's just trying to ride it from there. So I guess what we're trying to say is just trying to keep yourself out of trouble. Even if you think it could be a range day, you really just want to try to work off the edges. The trading we showed on Thursday was from, I think it was from Wednesday. So if you go and compare that, or even just look at the stream, that's a bit different. The market was starting to roll over, the half an hour was starting to roll over. We've got a major washout on the upside. And then we've broken through a key level, and then it was starting to go down, and then you're more of a trend trade there. You don't expect it to be a range day. On this one, potentially you can expect that easily to be quite a good range day. Now to keep you, I guess, let me just get that. I'm going to go back to that day. Oh, here it is. So I just got to find it on the chart again. So really for me, and it's to keep you from, I would have expected this to continue on. You've got a major resistance zone up here. The fact that we'd now turn around, this is a pretty key anchor level for me on this move up. So you got bang down, up, another anchor level here, and it's popped up, taken out. It's gone sort of the high of the day from the open. And then we roll over and broken this anchor level. For me, I'm starting to go iffy. We're not really going to get a trend day. So for me, for the rest of the day, I'd probably be steering clear of it. So I guess, Brent, it's just trying to figure out where your anchors are and trading off key levels. It's a bit different to trading a trend day, where it's quite clearly you've broken a key level on a 30-minute chart. and then there's a lot of room to move either up or down. If you're broken through a key level on the upside, you look at your next 30-minute key level potentially. A lot of room to move, so then it could easily trend, and you're just looking for that continuation trade. When you're showing signs, when you start breaking through this ankle of this move up, you're getting constrained. It is starting like it's going to be a bit of a choppy day, and you're getting, well, that's after the close, isn't it? So that was broken on the close. So yeah, that for me actually is not so. It's not so range bound that day. There's a couple of good opportunities there to trade off, but you got to realize that you're trading off a good support zone. So at about this stage, you start to realize maybe we're not going to get a trend day. We spent quite a bit of work here, and then especially off this high low in here and this breakthrough here. Yeah, a couple of good opportunities, and it was starting to trend higher. Where you go to from there, you don't know. But by then, I think by here was 4 o'clock, wasn't it? It's 4:10. So pretty much the market was closing around this stage. You're still holding. We broke that after hours, so I sort of forget what I was saying. The MAs, Brent, are 20 and a 50. I use a 20 and a 50. So this continuation trade, you've got the MAs on your side to buy. It's really just looking for that entry. And I think you had a good little entry here, but you're getting, like I said, after having 1, 2 moves up, you're getting a bit long. So that goes back to just what we're talking around that secondary level there. So if there's a couple of rules of thumb for this one, I would struggle probably to take that trade on the long side. And that's just me. If you're more aggressive, then you just take everything. There's nothing. That's a definite setup in here. You go down to your minute charts we just showed you. But for me, to keep me out of trouble, especially it's further into the day, I look at this as, let's just see, segment. I'm just trying to make this a different color. For me, that's your first move up, and then you've got your second move up. So that's your 2 moves. If you're looking for a third move up, generally it gets a bit tougher, and you can look at the time of the day as well. And we're not even up. We're still below these highs. So there's a good chance that sellers are being washed out here, and anyone who's buying it up is starting to start going, well, we're getting towards the end of the day. I'm probably going to take profit if I've got some. So to buy it in here, it's a lower probability trade. So I tend to keep away from that third move, unless it's a clear-cut trending day. But even on the trending day, we showed you intraday the other day, from Wednesday, that basically had your 2 moves down. It had a good move down, broke a key level, pushed back up to build your shoulder. We saw that on the 5-minute trade, and then really took off to the downside. But even that had your 2 moves. So to try to trade short again on the third move at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was really getting a bit. It's a lower probability setup and trade. Does that make sense, guys? Brent? And that alone may keep you out of trouble. It's probably going to keep you out of a couple of profitable trades here. But you can see in hindsight what we saw was that didn't pay out very much, whereas this entry and this entry did. It paid out quite nicely. Yeah. So what Anne-Marie said, probably on the 1-minute chart, yeah, it looked a bit range bound. Probably at this stage, it was looking a bit. I'm probably gonna lose it if I go back to that 1-minute chart. It was looking a bit range bound. I tend to look at my areas off a 5 and try to trade the entries from a 1. I think I was describing that on Thursday's stream, and I spoke to Anne-Marie about that. That's what I like to look at, and I'm trading off key levels, say key support and resistance off the 30-minute chart. That's for your intraday trade, and it changes obviously for longer term stuff, but really the price action is still pretty much the same. All right, probably enough of that. Is there anything you want to look at in the way of stocks? Any more questions, Brent? If you want to just send through an email, fine, to support@TradeSetup or tradedirect.com.au, tradesetup.com.au. Send us through an email if you've got any more questions. Just trying to see. I mean, look at that. That move today, you can see, was quite a bit stronger. We've come off a double top up here, 57.27. We've potentially got that lower high. So if you can see that price action from today, on the 5-minute, it's hard to trade that on the 5-minute because it just went bang straight down to a key support at 56.60. What I've marked up as key support anyway. We've done a bit of action down here, so you know, to try and trade that short now, that for me would be tough. I think I would be more inclined to think if I got a short set up here, I'm going to get washed out somehow. And we're getting to be extended on the 5 minute. Let's just go to the 1, see what that says to us. Any stocks you want to look at, guys, chuck it into the chat. Okay, look at this on the open. So this was the open at 9.50. It's popped down and it's bounced off that, you know, the overnight lows from Friday. Pushed down, washed him out quite strong. It's had a good bounce back on the 1 minute chart. So ideally, I mean, you could have got an entry. It's probably, if you can see through there, at that stage, and you see where the stochastics are on that, it's only, we've come down to quite well oversold just here on this move down. We retraced. It's had a good bit of energy. We've got a lower high in context to where it started during the day. A good little move back. It took a bit of strength to pop back up to that 57.17, and then we started capitulating again. And I don't mind that, if you can see that, as an entry off the 1, because you got very limited risk, and you don't know what's going to happen if it doesn't. And there's another thing when it's got to do with speed too. If it, good work, Brett. Good work. I don't mind that little entry. I mean, that's probably less aggressive. If I took this short through here, I haven't got as much confirmation, especially when you pop down and you pop back up, and then we get a major that on a 5 minute too. That's a lower high on a 5 compared to the major lower, you know, the double top on a 30. All these things working on the downside. That's a nice little entry, and look what played out. Even if you got, come on chart, if you got this little move, then you got a lower high here. You got all these little entries playing out, so you know that there's, okay, we could be on a serious move down here, and it's at this stage it's only 10.25. And what's happened? You've got, even on this risk reward, a few points risk, quite a bit of reward. You don't know where it's going to go to, but just trying to ride that down. Look where it went, and then through here, once you start getting this lift, you can see just up here. Once we get that pop up and through on this retracement, then I'd be looking, I'd be thinking a bit more about, okay, we found the bottom, we found the base. We're in a key support zone, don't forget, on the 30 minute at 56.60, I think it is. We're getting down to that key support. We're really struggling off this move. Once you get up to here, I'll potentially, if you do 2 contracts, you could, if you haven't got out of 1 already, you could exit 1 and just ride it, and maybe exit the second, you know, since we're chopping around here. Or if you've only got 1, potentially just exit it through here. And you've booked quite a bit. I hope that makes sense, guys. We better get into, we've got Don's popped up with AFG. Let's have a look at that now. How you going, Don, anyway? And intraday. You don't want to trade intraday, do you? We'll get to the dailies. It's going well. Now, have you got, I don't know what's caused that. Something's obviously happened, so we could, I'm guessing we can pretty much forget that price action from there. Just drill down. Alright, so on the weekly, and you can see this, I'm going to have to draw this just to show you, probably clearer with some lines. AFG is one we've been looking at too, I think. So you've got a support zone that's clearly fallen through here. You've got, so it's been chopping through here. Then you started getting that lift off that support through about 85, 90 cents, say. Popped up through here, and then you've got these little, well, this high low just built in here. It's pushed up. If you were buying it in here off the daily, which we are, or we're on the weekly. If you bought it in here on the daily, potentially you got that lower high. You can see it's worked its way back down, but on the weekly basis, that trend is still up. It's tested that 3 times, and we started to lift again. So that's looking, for me, it's got a bit of potential there. Even if you're taking out, so we've just today, probably today or this week even, we've just taken out that high. So it's holding on the weekly, the longer term basis, holding higher lows, and it's just made a new higher high. On the weekly, it's got a lot of room to move on the upside, obviously. Go down to the daily. Yeah, it was today. It pretty much broke through that high today on that move. Any news on that, Don? Anything you know? Yeah, just reading the comments there. So yeah, this one's actually, as of today, what I'd probably be looking for here. The way I would set up a trade if I was looking at this one. If I was looking to, you know, this was new to me, I didn't mind. I'm looking for a setup. I'm looking for something to start working for me. Obviously, I wouldn't buy it. This is just not my style of trade, and buying it when it's extended like that. 2 good strong days. I want to see some contraction. I know I've got a major support through here. We've just taken out that high. So I'm looking for potentially to pull back. I've got my high low on the daily basis just in here. Little high lows. You can see those forming quite well. If that's the case, that's going to hold. I want to see that pull back, build maybe another high low, and then I want to buy it on the rise. All right, so I don't know where that's going to go. It could be quite a lot in it on the weekly basis, because the weekly moves just pretty much, you know, beginning. We've held this high low on the weekly. If you extrapolate that out, it might take us through $2. I don't know. So for me, risk reward looking good, but just not. I wouldn't buy it here. I want to see that. Ideally, if you can see, it's popped up. Maybe wash out a few people. People that build in here is fine. If they buy it on this breakout through 155, I want them under pressure a bit. I want to wash those guys out. I want to put them back on the sidelines and then start holding. It sounds a bit evil, but I want to start holding that higher low and then get it when it's looking like it's going to rise again. It's going to hold a daily higher low. Does that make sense? And then just look for it to work its way back up again. And then you know you're not taking too much risk. Yeah, no, so if it's looking good, you want to look for a buy opportunity. But for me, technically, this is what I'd probably be looking for. I mean, it could just go on without me. That happens. But like I said, there's always something else to trade where that is going to pay out. So, mate, I hope that helps there, Don. Is there anything else you want to take a quick look at, guys? Reading the comments with the ASX. There's just a lot of people that trade the ASX intraday, and it can really pay out good, but there is times when, I see what you're saying, Brett, you did well this morning and you got knocked around a bit on Friday. Yeah, trying to swing trade it. So it comes from those higher lows and lower highs. If you start to see those build, we just quickly go back to that chart. Oh, anyway, it's probably, Friday's going to be a bit tougher. Good work, Don. Back in here, if I was thinking about selling it here, you've got to take note that that's had a good strong move down into a key support. So if you're swing trading it, even in here, that could be a lower high, but that lower high is confirmed when you get through this low here. At the moment, it's really just contracting, and you can see that by, this may or may not help. You can sort of see that, oh, come on. Holding some higher lows. It hasn't broken. It hasn't shown great signs at this stage. If you're selling it off this lower high, great signs that it's coming out. It's going either way. As soon as it breaks up here, for me, that's a good sign that, okay, we're going to have another deeper, this support's holding, deeper correction up, and away we go. The problem is for the short side, if you're looking for a short, it's got to break through there. You know what, I'd like to see it push down through here and then pop up, because that for me is like, okay, maybe we're going back down to retest that low, and then this is a major lower high, and we could really punch through that and go down to 56.50. But it didn't play out that way. So I think if you can just read it that way, I know I've always tried to keep the MAs on my side. At this stage, it was saying the MAs were staying short. It's just this type of price action, what we're seeing here. Anyway, if there's anything else, hard to sit on hands after morning move. Yeah, it is. It's a struggle sometimes. This is the thing about intraday trading. And what I'm finding, and this is probably just something I've learned through the past, when you're intraday trading and you tend to get stuck on one chart like the ASX, you try, that doesn't make sense. You try to read into it something that potentially is not there. If you've missed a move, if you see something and you go, oh, that worked out right. I was thinking about taking that short, you know, through here. I didn't take it, so you start to try to read into it because you're really only looking at one market. That's the beauty of the shares, or if you can give yourself intraday, you've got 4 or 5 different markets you look at that you know your setups. So that way you're not going to get dragged into something that's not a strong setup, and you can just go across and keep an eye on something else. Whether it be the Aussie, the Euro, I used to look at the Hang Seng during the day as well. That can have some good moves. So if it's purely intraday, try to give yourself a few more markets so you're not going to get dragged in and start to read something that potentially is not there. On the stocks, it's quite easy because you've got hundreds of them. So it's just a matter of flicking through. Don't like that, don't like that, don't like that. Okay, this one's got potential. Mark it up, alert it, and then get ready for something to happen, and then trade it. Obviously, you've got a hell of a lot more time when you look at a daily chart than a 1 minute or 5 minute chart anyway. All right, guys, so if there's no other stocks to look at, then we'll probably call it a day there. It's been about an hour. I hope there's a bit of info there for everyone to... And we didn't talk about stocks as much, but pretty much what we've chatted about, you can apply it to shares for technicals anyway. And then... yeah, that was my biggest problem with intraday trading, was just getting stuck on, especially if I hesitated and didn't take a short and it played out well. I'd turn around, I'd get a bit angry and I'd start revenge trading, or I'd look for something that's not quite there. And then if you got that mindset, and earlier on too, I was always training myself, go with the trend, go with the trend. So you're naturally looking for trend positions. Now the market doesn't always trend, and I get caught on the second move. Like I've just explained, it's moved once, it's pulled back, I've missed that first one, it's gone again, it's pulling back again. So I get caught in a zone where it's not high probability, it's not going to work out for me. It's already had two good moves in a day, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm frustrated, and I look for that buy entry again when it's gone up twice, and then it rolls over and I give it up, or I try to buy again and might lose too. So it's just having those things in the back of your mind. I've missed the first one. Is there going to be another one? Okay, if there's not, forget about it, look at something else. If you've got nothing else to look at, you're best just to probably walk away, I guess. But yeah, that was probably an earlier on for me. That was a bit of a problem. All right. Let's call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. And thanks for the questions. That was probably quite a good question too there, Brent. I think it's quite handy for people that are trying to learn technicals, or trying to learn, trying to refine their technicals too. And there's just a few little things, if you can just remember those when you're trading, it'll probably keep you out of trouble sometimes, and then it might put you in a good spot and you start to, just reading that price action a bit better. All right, cheers guys. I'll see you. We'll be back on Thursday at 12:30, so I hope you can all join us then. Any more questions, feel free to chuck it in the chat, or if you've got something, like I said, if you want to email through a chart that we can discuss, any trades that you're doing, it can always help. It can help everyone else too, don't forget. If you're happy to mark up a chart and send in some trades, chuck it in, send it through to support@tradesetup.com.au or support@tradedirect365.com.au. And then whatever it is, if you're trying to get your head around some technicals, you're charting, setups, anything, send it through. I'll either answer it privately, or if you're happy, I can put it into the stream and have a bit of a chat about it. Oh, Brooks. What was the other guy? The comedian. Someone else, Brooks. Anyway. Right, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll speak to you all again Thursday. Cheers. Bye.